Islam, Moss.
Islam.
Islam. About to make him? About to make him. Man. Peace. That is the standard greetings. That means proper education. Always correct what? Errors. Today what I want to do, I want to definitely thank Brother King Solid Supreme Magistrate for inviting me here. And his question was basically, Premier, would you like to come to New Orleans? I said, sure, but I cannot come without giving a lecture. You know, I don't mind enjoying the culture of what's here, but I have to come and see you and talk about a few things, all right? And I feel it's very important always to understand the condition of our people. In order to understand, you have to first know the law, because it's the law that enslaves us. And also, it'll be the same thing that will free us. See, if you don't know the law, that means you don't know what governs the affairs of men and women. And once you know the law, you'll see also that there was a colonization in place concerning the mind first, right? And then people sat down and they devised certain laws to put us in a certain form of slavery, you know? And we know originally it was like physical slavery, you know? And later on, they made sure it became a mental slave condition. So, to best understand our legal status, you know, that was deprived from us originally, which is Negro, Black, and Colored. I'll say it again, Negro, Black, and Colored. These here was labels that was placed on us by the colonists, you know, those who claimed the land from our forefathers, all right? And before they had laws for us, there were only laws for them. And so what we have to understand now is what laws are in place that place us in a certain condition. When now we're having hard times to demand freedom. And I will say it's because that we were made wards of the state, all right, by the labels right now that we bear. We say black, we say African American. These are primarily new terms that we use. But let me bring you to the law. The main law I want to establish for you is Amendment 14 today. You know, now do anyone know how that amendment came about? Anyone? Do you understand? It's important because it's that same amendment that qualified people of color to be what they call citizens. Prior to that amendment, blacks were considered to be what? Citizens. So you gotta first know which law that best qualified you under the Union Society to be citizens. Is that Amendment 14. Now, Will Smith, the actor, he has presently worked on a film that goes into Amendment 14. It'll come out very soon. You heard already about Amendment 13, right? So now you're hearing about Amendment 14. But I'm going to give you a more in-depth demonstration so I can show you your status and how it became what it is today as a citizen of the states. All right? Now, Amendment 14, there's a clause in it. It's very, very important. I'll read it to you. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. You hear that, right? All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof. We got to first define what is a what? Person. Some say, well, I'm a person. I'm a human being, right? But is that defined by law? The word person has to be defined by law because it's deriving from the law. So let's look it up. The word person. Is it a human being? Is it a corporation? Or is it also a human being? Are you a corporation? Or are you a human being? Or an individual? But an individual also defined by law to be also a what? Corporation. So when you deal with law, you cannot assume anything. You have to verify based on law and not based on a layman interpretation. What does it say?
Islam. Person, a human being. Second definition. An entity, such as a corporation, that is recognized by law as having the rights and duties of a human being.
Stop. That's twofold. This comes from what?
Black's Law Dictionary.
This comes from the Black's Law Dictionary. Black doesn't mean black meaning color. You had the Bouvier Dictionary. You had different law dictionaries. So you just heard a moment ago that the word person defines itself to be a natural person or a what? Artificial person. So you say, well, I'm a human being. So therefore, I am a natural person defined by law. I am not a artificial corporate entity franchise person because then I'll be property or empowered by the state. Y'all understand me? Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
All right? Am I going too far so far in the law? Y'all with me?
Yes.
Sister, you good? Everybody clear? Sister? All right. All right. So now, let me go to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. This here is the Constitution of the United States. Brother, you mind reading this?
Yes, sir.
Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. I have an underline.
All right, this line. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. Representatives, well, no person shall be a representative, who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed. 3/5 of all other persons.
Stop.
The actual Islam.
3 what? 5th of who?
Of all other persons.
So 3/5, that came from what? It's called the 3/5 compromise. That pertained to slavery. That pertained to what called at that time Negroes. So 3/5 of all other persons not taxed, including also the Indians, right? Why would they put the 3/5 clause in place as it applies to a person if it pertained to a corporation. Y'all with me? You understand it? All right? So now let's do something else. You got cell phones. I have it in mine. Enter in your cell phone in Google 3/5 of a slave, comma, Confederate Constitution. 3/5 of a slave, 3/5, space of a slave, comma, Confederate Constitution. Because I actually had the book. So you'll see that 3/5 clause in there. And you'll read it. And I'm going to tell you what it says. Because see, when you deal with law, you got to deal with no assumption, no guessing. You have to read it, and you got to cross-reference. You got to verify. Because as Moors, we deal with evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt. You found it? Let me hear it. Go ahead, brother. Stand up.
The 3/5 compromise was the compromise reached among state delegates during the 1787 United States Constitutional Convention. Is that the right one?
That's the compromise. Well, you verify now that there was a compromise in place. But it's a whole document of questions and answers at that time regarding how blacks would be rated. And that was termed the 3/5 compromise. But I want you to put Confederate Constitution, and you'll get the actual section from the old Constitution. Anyone found it yet?
So the Confederate States Constitution.
That's right. Let me hear it. Islam.
The Confederate States Constitution, formerly the Constitution of the Confederate States of America, was the supreme law of the Confederacy States and adopted on March 11, 1861.
Good. Stop. Just go to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. Sister, please. Islam.
Representative back.
Yes.
Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this confederacy, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indian contracts, citizens of all states.
Stop. Thank you. Do you see what I'm saying to you now? See, I cannot just quote this knowledge to you. I want you to pull up your own documents, reference your own law to understand your position. You see, the word slavery was modified to the word person, and if you're not familiar with the law, you will think that you're just basically a human being and that all person was defined to be a human being as you are, that you say by nature. But by state law, technically speaking, that clause takes that from you. My argument was always, how come lawyers never disputed this 3/5 clause? Right? So, you want to know currently why in the Bible Belt, in the South, Mississippi, Alabama, other places, that so-called white people don't accept blacks as human beings? I'm going to tell you more about that in a moment. But you can see because they didn't bear witness that you're a human being. Because in the South, it demonstrated very clearly that 3/5 clause pertained to those of color. So all persons born are naturalized. So now you have state rights and you have what? United States. Right? All you gotta do is go back to the current Constitution. Right? Right? You can be a citizen of the state and not of the what? United States. Am I right?
That's wrong.
And the reverse. That's why the 13 colonies, they the one that created the federal jurisdiction. So those in the 13 colonies is independent, sovereign to itself, each state. So technically speaking, the federal government don't have no authority or jurisdiction over them others. The ones that what? Created them. So if you're in the United States, that don't mean that you are a United States citizen. So how is that? Because of the miles, the radius, of what they call now the hub or the central government, better known as what? The capital U, the capital S, and the capital A. Right? This is of what? Colombia. Right? So you're in this state. This person is in New York State. Another one is in Philly. If you wasn't part of creating that federal government, then there is definitely an issue of, jurisdiction, right? But if you create that federal government, they have no authority over you. But yeah, that places you now within the state rights. Has its own constitution, its own seal, and its own flag. Y'all with me? So you got to know your position. So that means, right, if you leave one state and go into another state, you're out of your jurisdiction, right? But that only pertains to those who's under the labels Negro, understand, right, colored, and black, African, American, etc. But you as Moors and the non-Moorish Americans who haven't reclaimed their inherited birthright, right, you are now aware of the amendment that places you under a particular situation. So we as Moors, we have reclaimed our legal and lawful status, right, and we argue our position to establish that jurisdiction between even the states and the federal government. Because both, technically speaking, are corporations. But I'm not dealing with that. I want to show you currently your present situation. Now, we need to understand also, Moors, and I'm not done with the state law, right, is that Amendment 14 came about because the 39th Congress was in session, and the northern jurisdiction placed their people in the South under martial law and instituted Amendment 13 and 14 and 15. They actually uprooted the seats and how they enacted Amendment 14 under martial law. So what that make that law? Is it a constitutional amendment or a what? Can't hear you. Is it a constitutional amendment or a what? If I issue martial law, then what happens? Anytime martial law is in place, what happens? The supreme law is suspended. Right? So that makes Amendment 13 and 14 and 15 what? Not and void, also war amendments. Technically speaking, they are unconstitutional. Yeah, with me? I want you to read this here, Mo. All right, you behind me, right? Please stand up. Read here and read loud too. Go ahead.
Islam. When the 39th Congress assembled on December the 5th, 1865, it voted to deny all of the senators and representatives from 10 southern states seats in Congress. This radical Congress then drafted the 14th Amendment and submitted it to the legislature of the states in June 1866. When the amendment failed to receive the required number of votes from the states, radicals in Congress insisted that military force be used against the southern states to force them to adopt it.
Stop. You hear that? You see why the South got a beef? Do you see why the South refuses to acknowledge people of color to be citizens? Do you see why the lynching and the abuse of police powers for some officers are out of order? Because they think that they are in order. Right? Can you actually understand now why the Bible Belt is the way it is towards people of color? See, we're referencing the law. This is not this rhetoric. This is truth that defines the current condition from back then, in the 18th century, up to current. You see? It is the law that enslaved them, as I said to you. And it was the law also that will free you. And important more that you understand that the North did what? Remove people in power in the South through martial law and place their people in place and enacted Amendment 14. Now, mind me, it was a good act. It was good intentions. Why? Because people of color had some privileges, right? They have something that they can now fight about, right? And say, hey, we're not citizens, we have certain rights in place, right? If that didn't happen with Amendment 14, people in color will have trouble. Worse than right now, what it is. That wouldn't me, you understand? Right? So just go back to it. It's very important, right? Now that was 18 what? 60 what?
66.
In what year did the Dred Scott case come about? And every Moorish American, whether from the law side or the side of religion, should know this amendment. And every person of color, free or slave, as defined at that time, should know that particular case law. When I was in college, and I did finish, I had a law class. And the judge, Judge Roundtree, she asked the question, what is the most important case in law? I was the only Asian that raised my hand, and I said what it was. So I'll leave it to you right now. Take a guess. Say it again. Say it with confidence. Meaning. That's right. The Dred Scott case of what year?
56, 57.
That's right. 1856 and 1857. That is the Dred Scott case. You let in, Ma. Right? That particular case was a ruling by, what's his name? Give me the judge's name, Moss. And guess. Give me the judge's name. Because see, when you're wearing that red fez in your head, and you go to that black fez, this is what you should know. How I'm defined right now, this as showing and proving, as evidence, you as Moors know the same thing. And as sisters, as givers of the law, you got to pass this down. You should know it as well. See, Moors are good being cocky, right? Quoting all kinds of UCCs and sovereignty, but you can't free yourself by providing evidence because you don't have it, because you weren't taught this part of Dr. CMB's law. So, Dred Scott case of 1857, give me that judge's name.
That's Roger B. Taney.
Exactly. What's up on that? Just kidding. Right. Roger B. Taney. He was the judge that said what? Islam, young man. That's the baby right there. I'm waiting.
Islam.
Not you, because you was supreme magistrate. You good. There's other Moors with these feathers and beautiful suits on and bow ties, and the queens have said, "Come on now, y'all supposed to be protecting us, huh?"
Any person descended from Africans, whether slave or free, is not a citizen of the United States according to the U.S. Constitution.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. That's a portion of it, and you're exact, right? He said that Negroes, whether freed or a slave, don't have any rights that the white man is bound to respect. I'll say it again. Negroes don't have any rights that the white man is bound to respect, whether freed or a slave. Could you say today that the so-called white man or white woman respect the black man and black woman today? That was written in 1857. Right? Way back whenever. And even today, you can see very clearly that the so-called white man and the white woman don't have no respect for the Asiatics, people of color. Because whether freed or slave, it says that the white man, right, won't respect you. Right? It says that the Negro don't have any rights, right, that they are bound to respect. Right? So there's a status that they recognize that makes you wards of the state, where the 3/5 clause still exists. And when you look at Amendment 14 and you reference Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, that supports it. And when you go to the Confederate Constitution, you find the word slave. And when you go to the Black's Law Dictionary, right, it don't mean black people, right? You'll find the word person defined to be artificial and natural. Could you more just mark that down on the board while I'm building? All right. So I want you to understand clearly that this is a legal and lawful enactment of the law. So that being the case, Moorish Americans, our job is to give you the fundamentals, to show you your current status of why things are happening the way it's happening. And to teach you the understanding that it's important to come out of that legal status and claim your free national status as a Moorish American. And once that happens, you learn the culture and the science of the Moors, and you learn the law and how to defend yourself, your family, and your children, right? Because you don't know the law under the labels that you currently bear. And what has just been provided to you is not taught to you in law school. You have abstract pieces of knowledge you have to connect together to find yourself within it, right? But as Moors from the clock of destiny, we teach you your condition, and we show you through legal evidence and history, right? Which is facts. And we reference not only Google, because that's all right, but you got to see where that came from, right? And once you do that and you put it all together, you can best explain to your Asiatics, your brown, well, let me go back, your black, your brown, your yellow, and your red people of the human family, their current situation, right? So to say that you are a citizen, you can now recognize that legal status that you're currently in, right? And you'll get the Constitution, because we have respect for the Constitution of the United States. Because you got to know, as a Moorish American, the section in that supreme law of the land that pertains to you. Everything in there don't pertain to you. Not the most American, as you can see that, right? So you have to look at those sections, and another time I'll give you that. But do you also understand the prophet Noble Drew Ali, who came with first civics? You have learned that law if you dealt with a civic demonstration. Because of conditions, he gave you religion, right? But he said during the civic time, if all men and women and children are created equal before God and man, right, with inalienable rights, there's no need for Amendment 13 or 14 or 15. Islam? I'm going to say that again. If all men, women, and children are created equal with inalienable rights from God, right? Then there's no need for Amendment 13 and 14 and 15. You see what I'm saying? Right? This is the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings when he taught that. Right? So now, we got to fast forward. And when we fast forward, we see that was of no regard. You know, right? So the prophet said what he said. So you as Moors and those who have not reclaimed your inherited birthrights, you have to look at that time, right? And use that law to your advantage. Because most Americans do not and will not and shall not come on Amendment 13 or 14 or 15. And there's more regarding that as teachings. You know, but do understand that Dr. C.M. said that making an attempt to ignore my Moorish constitution will be a supreme violation of what? Your very own. You see? So that means that you have to study their laws, their enactments, their statutes, their rules, and their policies. Because if they attempt to ignore theirs, there will be a supreme violation of your very own. So it means as Moors, you got to be studious. You got to study. Moors are not uneducated. The feathers and the turbans mean that you're highly evolved. All right? But you meet Allah first in the heart. So if you have this here Moorish science in your heart, you're going to study. All right? You have to study Moors in order to best qualify your defense, your legal defense. And I say it again and again about Dred Scott. Remember this thing, very key. Dred Scott was in federal court. He left one state and went into another state. Right? So he was freed in one, he was bound in another. And he was in court arguing his position. He needed money to help him to commit actions against the federal government. Right? With the state to the federal government. And he said that he realized that my wife and my children were but pieces and parts of property. Islam? Right? So that means, my dear sister, I don't know if you have children, but you might have nieces, right? You know, right? And so forth. You have your babies here, right? So that means, and brothers, the same here. If you didn't have feathers on and your nationality and birthright, you'll say it, that my son and my daughter, my children, my nieces, are pieces of property. You know what I'm saying? He realized that one state had laws that another state did not have laws. And he disputed the argument. Right? Because he was freed by his owner. You see? But he went somewhere else and a different law applied. But you have a choice. You now know the basic idea of that Amendment 14. Look and check out and see where it came from. I just told you where it came from. The 39th Congress. Islam. See the arguments that went down. And you'll find that 3/5 compromise in place. You see? You have to be able to say like the free the Moors, the Sun-Free Moors, what they say? The Sun-Free Moors said in court, right?
Yes.
He was a descendant of the Moroccans, and there was shipwreck over here in the North Gate, and there was an issue in the courts. And as soon as he went to the courts, he said that they were not under Amendment 14, right? Right? And they refused to be tried or questioned under Amendment 14. These Moors defined their position, that they was Moorish and that they was not under the colonial settlers of the North Gate. Right? They had an argument. So that means they were able to go into Amendment 14, how I'm doing it at this current time. Able to go into it and explain who they are and who they're not, but who they refuse to be classified as. You see? So you as Moorish Americans, you just take the fence. The first thing is freedom of yourself and your children and your family. Economics is a whole other demonstration. The further is education. Right? Now the question, in this case, am I American? I like what the Elijah Muhammad son said. You know, he put the feds on YouTube, and he says, you know, the question, he say, oh, you're Moorish American. You're more American. What I'm saying to you is that Moorish Americans are Americans. Islam?
Islam.
Moorish Americans are the most patriot citizens here in the North Gate. Islam? We are descendants of Moroccans born in America based on a resolution launched from Philadelphia, which is the capital that deprived the Moorish Americans on record of their inherited birthright. Islam? Right? So you are Moorish American, not Moorish national. That just means the national central government. Look it up. They use the term federal government, central government, and national government. Right? United States, central, and national. You're Moorish American by inheritance and birthright. Because why? What's your ancient what? Namely, Moorish. All right? So don't get into that argument about, you know, you're a common law sovereign citizen. That was the influence of the European powers. Right? The Prophet Nabi said primarily that you went after the gods of Europe that you knew not of. I'll say it again. You went after the gods of Europe that you do not of. As soon as the prophet came and brought you what you currently have on your bookshelf, on your safe, some days later, you put the European common law documents, you know, and now you're a sovereign Moor, you know, right? You don't even know your own heritage and birthright, your own Moorish science, your own law. You don't know about the Prophet Nabi Ali and the movement. You don't know about Dr. CMB and the Pakistani, right? So you have been so confused and mixed up, assuming that you're not American citizens, you're losing your mind. That is a misdoctrine. Dr. CMB had in his Clock of Destiny book, volume 2. Now I copied it for y'all, right? He has in the 1828 dictionary, Islam? Raise your hand if you got that book. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have that book. The 1828 Webster Dictionary. The first dictionary used in this country. Now, I just told you a moment ago that Dr. CMB has it in his book, Clock of Destiny, Volume 2. They're over there somewhere, right? Raise your hand if you got those books. clock 1 and clock 2. All right, they're in the back, Islam. The difference between having the book and applying it, and having it and not applying it, is to not know and to know. What I mean is, when you pick up Clock of Destiny Volume 1 and Volume 2, you should work on obtaining what's in the book to verify. That means you're not studying. That means you're not researching. How can you teach people anything if you don't do your own research? Huh? Through study and research, you're going to know. Not by being told. And I come from a very strong foundation of the gods and earths. And we say very clearly that the 85% take the 10% on face value. Not the 5%. That means the gods and earths don't believe anything that anybody tell them. We say show and prove. Because I ain't no follower. You don't show me and then tell me. This is why I say pull out your Google. Bring that Black's Law Dictionary in place. Because I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to mention it to you, and I'm going to show and prove. Because you know why? You're going to ask me to do what? Show and prove. Huh? Can you imagine me telling the babies something and me walking away? You saying he was right. Because he's the premier, he was right. No. You still verify what's being taught to you. Some will come back again. I told you that you are Americans. Right? So we'll say, I'm not Americans. Well, they're a fool. Right? Because our forefathers had something to do with establishing this country. Right? So now, sister, do you mind reading this? You don't mind? Thank you very much. Right? Here you go. American. You mind reading that section right there underlined?
American noun, a native of America originally applied to the Aboriginal or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans.
Stop. Go ahead. Finish it.
But now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Thank you. One more time and louder. And remember, this is you. Go ahead.
American, a native of America originally applied to the Aboriginal or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Thank you, Islam. What color is copper? What color is copper?
Brown.
Say again?
Brown.
Excellent. Is it white? Is it tawny? Huh? So brown. Are the Indians brown?
Yes.
Thank you, Queen. Oh man, I'm gonna have her come here and teach y'all or something. All right. See her? You see that? She's wearing the Moorish fez, right? Now, is she original Moor? Right. She came after the fact. See, we in New Orleans, right? Right? And at yourself, I saw a neon fez yesterday. The Moor put some pictures on COD group on Facebook with their Mardi Gras showing their fezzes. Now I have amalgamated wearing a fez. Huh? So you can't get confused with the original Moors and those that came after the fact. Right? Let me show you something. See, when the Spaniards had some of the dark olive Moors, and Estevanico, look them up, Estevanico, right? And put the word comma, it's come to Florida. See, I got the books, right? So it comes to mind. Estevanico, right? He was a dark olive Moor. Like Lee Africanus, after the Pope's name, Lee Africanus was a dark Moor. Even had a book too, right? So you'll find out that Estevanico, who directed the Spaniards over here, and there's many dark olive Spaniards, right? Over here, they discovered what they call Florida, right? So they found some people here that was of dark hue, right? So now you have the mixture of blood, right? So as years go on, as you have those later generations, you have now the thinning of the bloodline, right? You have the black, you have the brown, you have the yellow, you have the red. The Caucasian is a whole other story. You heard me last night talking to a Caucasian in the French quarters, right? And he said, "What do you define me?" I said, "You're not white." Right? I said, "You are Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountains." And he said, "You heard him?" Yes. Right? But I didn't want to go into that because then I had to go into Yakub and their making. Right? But that was after the fact. Right? In terms of we was the first, the realities. So that being the case, let me bring it back again. Right? The Aborigines, that's us. The copper-colored race, a nation, that's us. Right? So he says, a native of America, a native, right? A original, not even ab, because ab means coming from. I never agreed to the word ab, that's abstract from, right? A native of America, copper-colored races. Even in the Bible, Revelations, it says that our brother Jesus, or Esau, right, or Emmanuel, he had hair like wool, right? So that wasn't straight, right? It wasn't straight. And his hue was copper-colored, right? So that tells you automatically that same reality, Mark, right? He was of hue, right? So, found here by Europeans. They weren't the Indians because Columbus thought he was in India and he called them what? Indians. He thought he discovered India and he called them what? Indians. They didn't call themselves that. So we don't follow the gods of Europe. We don't say what they say. We don't follow their ideology, you know? So they say it, so it's right. If you know any mixed Indians of that time, they will tell you that they're not Indians. So stop saying what the Europeans say. Stop saying what some blacks say, right? They weren't called Indians among themselves. The Europeans called them that. So let's go back to here again. Found here by the Europeans. So who did they find here if they weren't Indians? Right. And they didn't call them Indians. They weren't called black because black is an adjective describing. They weren't called colored because they were the original people. They weren't called colored because they weren't mixed. Islam? They weren't called colored because that was a colonization, a European demonstration. Right? And you know they weren't called African Americans because that's some new thing today. Right? They weren't called coons and shots and jigaboos because that was the fun they made of us by the Europeans. So what were they called? Yeah, at one time they was called Spaniards, right? Because Isabella and Ferdinand joined forces as a Christian power, and they deprived the dark olive Moors of their nationality, right? Of being Moorish, and also gave them the Spanish name, Savanico, and then gave them the Catholic doctrine. Jesus is his name now. Mary is her name now. So now they cannot find their identity within the Moorish line. They start within the Spaniard jurisdiction. Dr. Sammy said they were known as Spaniards. Now, when we last ruled, we were known as Moors. Islam? As history. So, we look very carefully again. But now applied to descendants of Europeans born in America. Who are y'all to determine who is who? Look at the word denizen. Denizen. Right over that word? Denizen? See, when I studied the law, that was the word. See, we are the real citizens, and they are the what? Denizens. You'll find out in a moment. Right? So this deception, this falsehood, this misdoctrine, this miseducation had to stop. You as most Americans need to learn this history and science as being expressed. You know, this here is a true American. This is the first. I don't need the Europeans to say, well, we got the Old Testament, now tomorrow we got the New Testament. I don't need him to say, well, that was old. That don't apply no more. Stop following the European gods that you know not of. You see what I'm saying? All this is around all persons. The one who don't know. And well, you are a citizen. You got to know what? Because if you're a citizen, it means you're American. Islam? You see, go into these teachings, and everything will be defined. You found it yet, Mo?
Not yet.
The word denizen applies to those from a foreign jurisdiction that can only purchase or take property. They can't inherit property. Right? See, European descendants, you ready? Now apply to Europeans. Right? The European descendants, you know, they have taken and still taking. You know, now mind me, there's some blacks down with them. It happens. That's how I've been also in slavery at some point. They were the pawns. They were the guinea pigs. You found it? Come on, Mo.
Denizen, a person given certain rights in a foreign nation or living habitually in a foreign nation. 2, English law, a person who holds a position midway between being an alien and a natural born or naturalized subject.
Islam, you hear that? Hold on, Mo. Read again, please.
Islam, denizen. 1, definition 1, a person given certain rights in a foreign nation or living habitually in a foreign nation. 2, English law, a person who holds a position midway between being an alien and a natural born or naturalized subject.
Stop. Thank you, Mo. All this here Moors are around Amendment 14. Y'all get it? All this around Amendment 14. Right? Now, let's go. Sister, do you mind again? This is the word citizen defined by that same dictionary. Could you read this? Right, it goes here and this part here. Citizen.
Citizen, the native of the city or an inhabitant who enjoys the freedom and privileges of the city in which he resides. The freeman of the city as distinguished from a foreigner or one not entitled to its franchise. If the citizens of the United States should not be free and happy, the fault will be entirely their own.
Stop. Islam. Thanks, sister. Right? So you just heard a moment ago. If the citizens of the capital U, period, states should not be free and happy, the fault will be entirely their own. As free Moors, stop blaming the government. Stop blaming the so-called white man, because now you know. Islam? Now you know. Lead by example now. Because you have your free national status. All right? Now, everyone, Asiatics are Moors by inherited and bloodline. Whether they reclaim their nationality and birthright, they're still that. Dr. Simbay said, no more, bay or ill, referred to as Negroes, black or colored, should be destroyed for lack of zodiac constitution. Islam?
Islam.
That means you even have a responsibility to those non-Moorish Americans that are not documented to educate them in this here science and culture and law. Islam? Right? He says no more 150 million. Where the book at? Bring me on clock 2. Somebody. 150 million should not be destroyed for lack of zodiac law and constitution. Right? This is what a lot of those Moors ain't telling you. Now, I turn to the first or second page in book 2, right? And it should be the introduction. All right. The Moorish nation and the Amazon red-skinned white people has been well blended, flavored, and beautified to perfection through a long, free process of cross-sexual relations. Therefore, the 150 million inhabitants of the USA constitute the Moorish nation of the North Gate, who must be redeemed and civilized by the Moorish universal science and law of the zodiac. And he said very clearly that Chief Tall Man Dan, Chief Black Thunder, Irish, Germans, and Dutch, and Scots, and English, and France of the Amazon Valley, Chief Tall Gun, White Calf on the nickel, wore the Moorish star and crescent, and the circle of the zodiac with the Moorish swastika. The swastika represents the square. Gotta go on, right? But the point I'm making here is what? The Irish, the German, the Dutch, the French, all got Moorish blood in them. If you see a German, you don't say, look at that white German. Look at that Dutch German. Look at that white Irishman. You're going to say as a Moor, she's German, he's German, that's a Moor. That's Dutch. That's Irish. That's Portugal. Right? That's Moorish. How? Because you have your forefathers has beautified them to perfection. Islam? Islam? It's hard to bear witness. It's this history. You will find many of them, they will tell you that their ancestors somewhere had what they call Africa somewhere there. Their grandmother or their granddad. It was the Moorish blood. I'm not talking about the Sicilians, Italy. That's a given. The Spaniards, that's a given. So when you see a person who's Dutch or Irish or German, you don't hate them. You just understand the bloodline. Get that movie I always tell the Moors in Clock of Destiny called True Romance. Have you seen it yet? True Romance. I forgot his name, but he killed this old man because he was trying to find his son, but the dad told this Italian guy, you know, your parents. Saw it before?
I saw that little incident when they were about to kill him.
That's right. He told him he was black. See, You tell Italian or some Irish or German they black, they might try to kill you, right? Because what our forefathers have done. All right? You see it?
Released in 1993.
I guess so, yeah. I saw it, yes. It was way back then. So you'll see in that particular movie the bloodline. So Moors don't hate. We don't use the word white or black. We say European or Asiatic. This here is the teachings of Dr. C.M.B. This is the teachings of Clock of Destiny. Right? When you go into your history and your science and your culture, you will value it more. So when I mentioned about a book, that book Moors you should have. See what I'm saying? Get that book there. I mean, that video right there, or that movie. All right? So, in summary regarding this here, and I don't go too far right now in 14, because our time is closed in for half hour more we have, in terms of the Mardi Gras. All right? You good. All right? You good? All right. So, the main idea, more, wanna walk it up? So, 3/5 of a person. Originally, 3/5 of a slave. State rights and United States jurisdiction. You can be of the state, a citizen, and not of the United States, and the reverse. Islam, right? Dred Scott case, 1857. Predates the 39th Congress. You with me? 3/5 compromise. You read the dialogue, because really it was a dialogue, and it was called the 3/5 compromise. More American, we're more patriotic, right? Patriotic as us. Again, if you study the Constitution, you will love it, because you were the foundation of it. The first 7 articles are your foundation. Islam?
Islam.
If you take an office in the state government or the federal government, you'll be the upholders more than anybody else. You will follow the law to a T, and you will prosecute all those who are acting in treason against the state or what? United States. Because you are the best citizens of this country. Right? But the Prophet Noor said very clearly, this here is make you better citizens. Right? But you cannot do it if you know your own history. You know, and your own law, and their law. And it's hard to do it under your current status as a ward of the state, under Amendment 14. You do best to do it on your national inherited birthrights. You also, well, right? You also have to understand that write the things down that I shared so that they can be able to mark it, right? If all men are created equal and women, then there's no need for Amendment 13 and 14 and 15, right? You have to know how all this is, in line with one another. Because the first thing I said to you earlier is number one, if you don't know your rights, you don't what? Have any. Bottom line. If you are a citizen, in which you are, right? How can you be that and you don't know your own law? And law of the land. Right? You see? The first thing, you can only demand respect if you know who you are. So when the Prophet and Dr. C.M.B. came and brought us what they did, our free mortars, nationality and birthright, and the law, They brought us from being a misplaced person to a continental citizen, where we can demand respect doing Islam with science and culture. You understand? Right? And you can best teach your children. And the mothers are here today, so they can teach their children. And you can even teach other mothers and mothers' children. You see, because they don't know. Because you have to understand why the Bible Belt is the way it is today. Because they never agreed to the North going into the South, uprooting the seats and putting their boys in place and enforcing Amendment 14. Islam? Right? It was a good act, but the South was totally in disagreement. And it's fine, because they were not going to agree anyway. But the North did what they did. So thanks to the North doing it, well done, we'll say, lad. Right? But the South is still doing what they're doing, and they ain't stopping. You see? Right? Well, you have to understand that those three amendments don't apply to you as Moorish Americans. It applies to the blacks and the Africans, Indians, and West Indians. Because some of them are nationalized, some are bored, they come under that amendment. Right? Well, you got to be able to go into it to best define who you are based on positive law and not martial what? Martial law, because they are defined to be, technically speaking, war amendments. And when you obtain the law from that era, right, you're able to establish it is a war amendment. Islam? All right. So this, my brothers and sisters, is the point of Amendment 14. We have only 15 minutes when it comes to the Mardi Gras. And I'll make it very easy for y'all. Right? It's simple. I'm going to read to you what what Dr. CMB shared. Yeah, you're fine. Just right? I'm going to read to you what Dr. CMB shared. He said, New Orleans. New Orleans' ancient name is New Orleans. New Orleans is the city of the Star and Crescent, after the Moors were defeated by the Roman priesthood. A Spanish Moor named Salahuddin hung the Star and Crescent again, on behalf of the defeated Moors. The Moorish descendants pay honor and tribute to this accomplishment by having what is known today as the Mardi Gras. Islam, you got it now? So now we gotta deal with verification, right? You just saw a amalgamated Moor wearing a fez, right? She was European, right? Right. We saw last night some people wearing fezzes on their heads. Neon green. Another Caucasian man, right? And then you see some of the floats, right? They're wearing the fezzes, right? And you see the color code. You see the bead, like the gypsies, right? The turbans and so forth. People of color in New Orleans don't know the origin of Mardi Gras. You have an area called Crescent and Star. Islam? Why Crescent and Star? When that's the oldest flag, right? Another place called Algiers. You had Tunis governed by the Beys. You had Tripoli by the Pashas. And you had Algiers, right, governed by the Deys. So D-E-Y, Deys governed Algiers. Tunis, Beys governed Tunis. And Tripoli was governed by the Pashas. It was all under the Moroccan Empire. Islam? Right? So there's a very strong Moorish culture suppressed, right? Now, I found a document written by somebody from New Orleans. And it said, let me go to the very beginning of it, right? Well, it's written in 09, Mardi Gras Indians. You know about them? The Mardi Gras Indians. You know about them? Great, excellent. I'm glad somebody do.
I'm sorry, this was crazy because I literally just came here to like get some more books, but
Right.
I actually met a Moor this weekend into just getting to my Kemetic studies. I guess this all ties in.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and we just met him in his the weekend and just told us about how to take our sovereigns back and was teaching us about black law. So I didn't have no ideas what this was happening, and for me to just walk into this, you know, and just now meeting someone around the same age group just a couple days ago,
Yes.
and introduce us, you know, to us that he was more, because I do crystals and stones in the French market, and I face a lot of adversity out there. I'm the youngest one. I've only been out there about 4 months, and so I'm dealing with like a lot of the Arabs who's trying to get me out of there. It's crazy. I'm dealing with a lot, and he just came at a time where I was just, you know, dealing with that until my king came back to come back, you know,
Gotcha.
from where he was at.
Right.
And this more guys walked up to the table and we started talking, and then he, you know, met with my king, and we met his brother, and we just started talking, and we just like been hanging out with him over the weekend, and they showed us all this paperwork about how to get, I guess, renounce our nationality, our national, you know, I don't know.
It's all right.
It's
It's all
really
right.
crazy how I
It's all
just
right.
walked into this, and I literally just kind of, you know, I don't know, nothing happens by chance.
No doubt.
At all.
Law govern all events.
Yeah.
You know, but what I would say before I go into the Mardi Gras, you came on time. You know, we don't denounce our nationality
Okay.
because we are Americans. We are Moorish American, and we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. That's the difference.
Okay.
When someone say they are denouncing, then they're claiming a sovereignty concept. So if you're sovereign, so we have inherited birthrights.
Right, and the birth certificates is a contract.
Those are a whole nother arguments.
Okay.
A whole nother arguments. I know what you need to have the introduction before you go into that aspect.
Right.
Because if you go on YouTube, you'll find those who claim sovereignty, they will drive with plates in certain states and get locked up. And you'll see their homes being taken, right? They lose their jobs, right? And they're claiming sovereignty. See, I believe personally, other than being a Moorish American, if you're a sovereign, then you don't need the European powers. If you're a sovereign, that means you don't need a house. You have your own currency. You know, sovereignty means independence. Sovereignty is saying that you can provide for your family without Europeans. You see what I'm saying? So it has been a very misleading doctrine that has been mixed with the Moorish doctrine. All right? This is very important. I have to share this. If we run out of time, I can go build on the side, right? But it's very important. No, you're good. It's very important because many persons like you have become victims of many Moors who advocate that kind of doctrine. And I'll say this here to you. It's very, very important. It's from history, fact of history. A lot of so-called Moors, they don't have their own apartment or their own house. A lot of them don't even have a car. They might say a wagon vessel. That's fine, right? They don't have maybe a license, right? They have no source of income besides maybe these doctrines, right? They may be doing child support and trying to fight it. I'm giving you the facts, right? Look at their history and first know who they are in terms of, you know, of how they're living. You got a job. No, your apartment, your own apartment. Do you have a house? You have children? You know what I mean? Check and see their responsibilities because the basics you'll find is missing. This is real talk, right? Do they pay taxes on this, right? These are arguments, right? all of those who teach that kind of doctrine, they were influenced by the Posse Committee and the Freemen, these and the Patriots. It was a movement mid-90s, mid-94, right? 93. And a lot of these Moors, they got involved. They said, you know what? We don't deal with fiat currency, which is, the greenbacks, right? Because it is not money. It is not real. But you know that you're working, right? And you know you cannot pay your rent, your car notes, take care of your family without fiat currency. So we know what's legal and what's lawful, but until we get our act together correctly, we got to survive that way, right? You know what I mean, right? Your job may involve you commuting back and forth. So you need money for the bus or for the train or in your vehicle. See what I'm saying? Right? You got this is just real talk here, right? You have children going to school, whether it's public or private, you got to still finance that condition. See what I'm saying? Right? You have children and you're a man and you don't take care of your children, that's taboo. Or you're a woman, that's taboo. So some want to see how they can get out of this particular situation. At times it's wrong on both sides. The woman is scheming, the man is scheming, but it's always some kind of like scapegoat or trying to get out, right? You find that mortgages are illegal. So because mortgages are illegal, you find out now that you stop paying your mortgage, right? So now you're in a whole nother situation, right? There's a female that got locked up, right, and beaten up, I forgot what state, following a doctrine to take a house, right? So you're going to take a house, you get locked up. Look at those who say, I'm sovereign, I want to move on this house. Buy this package for $400, $500, or $1,000, right? First find out, have you done it? See what I'm saying? Right? The problem, though, Joe Ali said, don't be like a block of wood to point that way, but first what? Go that way. Right? Meaning, let me see the footsteps. So I'll do maybe what you're doing if I see that it works. Right? Because I'm not a follower, because I don't know about being told. Right? And then after, because I know individuals who have taken homes. After a year or so later, going to jail and now fighting it has lost. I just want a person who have taken a house a few times and I've had it for a while, and later on, wind up getting in trouble with the law regarding it. You see what I'm saying, right? So I'm saying to you, if you have children, or you have families, right, factor all these in before making a move. Don't be watching YouTube. You go on YouTube. You'll see people advocating the same stuff, right? But always observe their life condition. See, I'm a realist. You're in right now the clock of destiny. Or the Great Seal. And Dr. CMA was the founder, he was a lawyer, right? So we're very professional and very realistic. The Prophet Noble John was the founder of the Moorish movement. He said, have respect for the law. And go down to the city hall and talk to them in intelligent tone. And they will give you a fair reply. See what I'm saying? Right? So that is a religious body, right? MSTV. But they never dealt with the wrongdoings, all that solving stuff, never did, right? But there was some movements right now called the Divine National Movement, right? They will talk about the straw man and UCC. That is not the prophet teachings. So what happened, I always say you have the prophet and you have Dr. CMB, the Moorish Temple and Clock of Destiny. You have those little people in the middle. Take a little bit of Joe Ali teachings, a little bit of CMB. And they go Hegels and Patriot materials, and they mix it all together. And now they call themselves this here. Each his own, because the law governs all events. Right? And as a sister, if you go on YouTube and enter certain names, and you will see the whole makeup. Right? They are causing confusion among the righteous. They are misguiding our people and having them to encounter law enforcement, put them in a worse condition than they started off at. All right? So what I say to you, again, verify it. You go on YouTube, go on Google. How many Moorish Americans have been locked up? Name Moorish American women in jail. Right? Or if you know, because I'm in law, if you know some people that work for the courts, ask them to enter the name Bay or Ill in Lexus or Westlaw and see how many come up and look at their names. So that will give you a better understanding. There are ways to do things legal and lawful, but always stay within the boundaries of the law. Positive law. You know what I'm saying? I say it to you and everyone that's current, because I know the experiences. See, a lot of these Moors are new Moors, and some are old Moors because all they really know. You know what I'm saying? Right? So we never call ourselves sovereign Moors. We're Moorish Americans by inheritance and birthright. We have constitutional immunity. And we have respect for the federal, state, and county laws of the land. Dr. Sinmay said, because you're not subject to it, it don't mean you're free to violate it, because the crime was the crime what? Universally. You see what I'm saying? What we mean by not subject to it, certain laws apply to certain people. So we establish a line of who we are and who they are. See what I'm saying? All right? So please understand. To understand. All right? You have Moors here. I'm from the U.S. I mean, it's obvious, right? I'm from New York State. All right? Everyone here is from New Orleans, I would guess, right? Am I correct? All right? So you'll always engage them afterwards and exchange numbers. Have you made, you know?
I would ask you for some information, because I would just come and check and see if she had the Simon Sali, but that was about it.
It's fine.
I look for out in the parades. I live in Metairie, so
Alright.
I can't wait here just to see if she had this book.
No problem.
But can I get some information and maybe you can meet have come to another meeting?
Yeah, sure. I won't be here, but they have a temple here. I have 2 books.
They have a temple here?
Yeah, you'll see them. They're here right now. All right. But before you go, if you're ready to go, got time for like probably 10 minutes or probably a few minutes, right? So the Mardi Gras, the crescent and stars one piece, right? And that's Islam, right? 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 And Algiers is Moorish, right? Right? Even though very right now amalgamated, but that's Moorish. You see the color codes, because the Moors are founders of the color codes, right? And you see the feathers all in Mardi Gras, right? All in, you know, over here, right? New Orleans, right? And the point I want to make in terms of you mentioning, we have 10 minutes, right? So, Mardi Gras Indians are African Americans who form tribes or gangs. It's written more in 09. Mardi Gras Indians are African Americans who form tribes. Right? It's deep because, let you know again, African American is a new name. Like black and colored, right? Like Negro and Europeans like Coonshine Jigaboos. And we was known originally as Moors. And he goes, they wearing the Moorish garb now. Right? And even some of it is what? Egyptian. Am I correct? Right? So I'm gonna jump down to her part, because I had time's of the essence, right? And it says, here you go. The suits of the Mardi Gras Indians are the most celebrated aspect of the culture. Every Indian sews a new suit to be unveiled on Mardi Gras morning, which requires a staggering investment of time and money, as well as the creative ability to sew feathers and beads in unique patterns and distinctive color schemes in a way that expresses the individuality of the chief and his tribe. As Indian suits have become increasingly elaborate, they have also become identifiable according to 2 dominant styles. The uptown style used beaded panels to tell a story with images, such as an Indian using a tomahawk to break a slave's chains. Islam? While the downtown style uses 3-dimensional geometric designs, such as the headdress of an Egyptian pharaoh. Islam? Right? So, as you can see, that the entire Mardi Gras demonstration of Islam is a Moorish demonstration, right? Is that they don't have the knowledge of themselves, so they flash their breasts with beads when, our forefathers sat down and designed these beads, right? Right? And that was the culture, right? They wear all of the Mardi Gras garb, knowing that it's an Egyptian, it's a cultural thing and not an uncivilized thing. Islam? Right? So when you look at this term again, it says, the Moorish descendants pay honor and tribute to this accomplishment by having what is known today as Mardi Gras. You see? So you have to teach these same things to our Asiatics, to our people. Because out there, I saw it was very crazy last night.
I thought Mardi Gras was pagan worship.
Well, see, pagan worship is like saying phallic worship, right? Or the disbelief in a living God, so to speak, right? It's like saying zodiac is witchcraft. It's like saying hoodoo or voodoo is evil or bad, right? Which we know it can be if you turn it into a negative, right? Called black magic. Islam, you with me? Right? So let's take phallus worship. The genitive of man was used in Egypt as a worship symbol because Osiris was murdered, set up by his family members, right? Egypt, right, good. Right, I forgot, because I'm glad you noticed this stuff, right? So, Isis, right, looked for the body, the female, the sister, the mother, right, and wife, had her people go out and look for the body, right? And they found in the grove was an emblem that symbolized the phallus, right? And so it wasn't genital worship. Oh wow, look what we found, right? It was about the power of the number 8. The number 8 is a recycling of energy or rejuvenation. It is a symbol of life, right? It's a symbol of empowerment. Islam, right? So we're looking at the sun, Osiris, right? And we're looking at the moon, Isis, right? And we're looking at everything going dark now because the sun is dark now because Osiris is gone, right? And so the moon sent out those followers to find that life force. So people will say that is worshiping pagans, so to speak, right? Osiris was a god. Well, if the so-called Greeks, well, they were Greeks, right, in this case, right? If the Greeks was called gods, and they don't predate the Egyptian gods, why became called Osiris a god? Islam? Right? And in the Bible it says, and ye are gods. Right? Ye are gods. St. John chapter 10 verse 31 down to 35 says, me and my father one. Says the Jews picked up stones to stone me. And he said, which one you want to stone me for? Right? Says you saying you're a man, saying you're Christ, trying to make yourself God. And then it was stated that it is not written in your law that ye are gods. And once it has been written, the scripture, it cannot be broken. Islam? Right? So now man is God. So within the European colonization, if you keep on believing their doctrine, they will take you from yourself. Right? Because the Catholic doctrine was the idol worship. You see what I'm saying? Right? So that being the case, we have to come to the realization that, like CMA said, an atheist is only one who believes in themselves. Because you don't believe in their God or their God, it don't mean that you're not God. See what I'm saying? Because in the Moorish Quran, Circle 7 says that as a man unfolds his what? God unfolds. And man's God today is not man's God tomorrow. And you only name the God that you see. See, man by nature is God. Islam? By nature. That's your nature, but you may not be demonstrating the reality of God in you. You see what I'm saying? And the teachings of the Father said, And the Nation of Islam says, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, and the cream of the planet Earth, and the father of what? And God of the universe. You see what I'm saying? See, Moors say, well, he was Moorish American. I don't know who he was, but he brought the message. He didn't say that we weren't Moors. He said Asiatic, right? But he had to put the word black there because we had to have a connection. Islam. You see what I'm saying, right? So the black man being God, but that's good, right? But who's the woman? See, that's what CMA talk about. If you are God, why she can't be called a goddess? Huh? And she made you from conception to birth. CMA said that made you the great what? I am. Through her you learn squares and angles and horizontals and perpendiculars. See, I ain't mean to get into this. I ain't mean to get into this part here. But she could have aborted you in the process. Right? It's that unfortunately a lot of the sisters don't have the knowledge of themselves. And why in Clock 1, it says that she must learn the zodiac. This is the ancient science of ancient forefathers. And teach the children in the womb the lessons. See, with zodiac, you don't need religion because you got it by divine law. And she can only birth for God from another one. You see what I'm saying? But her elevation had to be so. You know what I'm saying? But I always say over and over again, as a man who is God by nature, it's more than saying that you are the ego. You got to be responsible. You see, I'm from the Father's sin. That's my foundation. And you're going to build from the foundation. And we were taught, and you are a man before you are God. Are you responsible as a man? You see, don't ride the ego. You got to show and prove the God quality in you. Islam? You know what I'm saying? When I say Islam, and do it, I say it again. I say Islam because we say I self, law, and master. Right? But I study life around me. Because God is universal. Right? You cannot make God finite. You can say, well, God is over there. No, God is universal. Right? But let me come back because now you talk about the God power within us. Right? I'm going to let you know that the Mardi Gras whole demonstration is based on moral science. Islam? Right? Is that unfortunately, they don't have the knowledge of themselves. Right? They have become savages. It says a savage is one who has lost the knowledge of themselves and living a beast way of life. You hear that? Right? Who has lost the knowledge of themselves and have living a beast way of life. So Moors, you have teachings out there you gotta live. I saw yesterday, it's definitely hell. And I didn't condemn those with the cross in the air. I didn't condemn them. Because I see why they have the cross, because it's hell out there. But I have just showed and proved to you how New Orleans is based on history of the Moors. You see? But you got to bring it back by example and demonstration. So in my closing, it was two things today I want you to understand very carefully and clearly. Is that Amendment 14 is the amendment that made you privileged, granted citizens of the state. You and your property. It's you and your property because it's property of human society. Islam? Islam. And I showed you through your own research and through Black Law Dictionary how the word person was used originally, and the 3/5 clause was also used at that time. Islam? Islam. Right? And if they didn't use 3/5 and they said person, you can play with it. But that 3/5 pertained to people that were being treated as cattle. Right? And when you look it up, you'll see that compromise demonstration. You got to know where you are in this country. And the more history in culture and science is what brought you from one stage to another, so you can have a defense for your inherited birthrights, right? Now, once that is done, you don't hate the so-called white man, right? You understand the legal jargon, because again, if you don't know your rights, you don't what?
Haven't.
You don't have it, right? So now I reference and I've proven to you by showing and proving the documentation, right? What's what. So now that you are aware of the whole Dred Scott and 1, 2, Clause 3, you know Supreme Law of the Land, you know in Congress Section 39, you can go back home at some point and you can research. You can put it all together. You have a better defense for yourself out there among Roman soldiers, right? You know also about our bloodline, how we mix with different people, you know, German, Irish, and everybody else, right? You have our Moorish blood, so Moors don't hate. We understand our heritage, right? We also understand that, you know, we don't claim the Moorish sovereignty stuff, you know, right? We deal with inherited birthrights, and we are American citizens. You know, we're not state property. You know, we have a good defense for that. All right. But we do believe in constitutional what? Immunity. Right? And we'll be the best citizens because we know the law better than a lot of them. A lot of them, they just take a oath, you know, and pardon me, oath and that's it. And it's put law down, but morals you're always studying. Different I told you earlier, when I asked you about the dictionary, in 1828, that's right. Everything in that book, when I started studying years ago, I made sure that I referenced everything. I went to the library, I pulled it out, right? And I made sure that I was able to show and proof. I know how to teach, all right? So that concludes that in the Mardi Gras. The Mardi Gras you now know. I ain't get too deep into it, but you got something now to work with. Any questions? Anyone?
At a later time, I would just like some information on how I can come back.
All right, no
And do
problem.
you have anything on earlier, I guess, on the list?
You know, well, I will say, yeah, the video that has been they're documented.
Oh.
Yeah, you're one to definitely make that connection. And I would say, on your strength, pick up clock 1 and clock 2 in the back, put it in your bag, and walk with it. You'll sit over there. That's on me. All right? That's it.
I come from a minority family.
Oh, that's right.
And we do, it's a lot of different stories about the origin.
Yeah.
So I was curious to hear more about that, you know, like where it comes from. Because it's something we have different theories and I have
Right.
theories.
No doubt, no doubt.
But, you know, when we in it, it's a very big, like.
Islam in the back. Islam. So go ahead.
It's a spiritual thing for us. You know, even though some people see it as a festivity.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual thing. So I'm curious to see.
Right. What I can do, see, I will forward this to King Saudi, I have, right? And this is something I read to you regarding New Orleans and by one of our founders, CM Bay. I gotta do it. I gotta put the other pieces together. Cause I see the Moorish culture in it.
That's why I want to see what your perspective is.
Right.
You know, I'm new to a lot of this. I know a little bit, but you know, I would like to compare.
Make it together. All right, got you. Give me some time and I have it for you. All right. Do you who you know here? Anybody here? King right there? No problem. Good. So I said to the brother who give to you. All right. And like I said, I gotta put it all together because with seeing Bailey, I was like, wow. I never thought about Mardi Gras regarding the Moorish culture. And years ago, in the 90s, when I had those materials and I read it, you know, I was like, wow, okay, it's doable. So as a Mardi Gras Indian, like for example, you know, like the word Indian, you know, Indian, Indigo, you know, it's a whole thing
And
with
we
that.
have some tribes, they call themselves maroons.
Maroons?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
good.
They mask under, you know, as a maroon.
Right, with the Maroons, the Aztecs, the Caribs, right, I'm aware of those. So there you go. So the Maroons back in Jamaica and back in Trinity, the Caribbean islands, and even in North Carolina and South Carolina, you had maroons back then. Like, well, my family is Gullah, Geisha, right? So I know the whole entire line from that perspective, right? So right, the maroons live in a compound town in the Caribbean countries to themselves, very independent, and they fought the British. For the Kojo and Sister Nanny, right? The British feared them, you see? And so all of you had to really connect, you know, to the Pokarans, the Arawaks, the warriors, you know, yeah. So let me build further on that, and I have something for you sometime. I'm pretty busy, right? But I'll forward this to you, and you can, to the king, and you can do your findings. This is from 09. So that's way back, you know, right? All right. Yes. Yes.
Just thank you for having me.
No problem,
So
yeah.
random and didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, it's good. See,
information and some stuff I kind of questioned in my head,
yeah.
and it was probably meant for me to come and kind of get some reassurance. So
Right. Good. I'm glad you came through, because one thing about Clock of Destiny, we exhort the women. Because CMA, like Clock 1 and Clock 2, when you read it, it's very focused, about 80% on women.
that's good.
Because we know that they can make the changes, because through them come, you know, those children.
Right.
You know,
I'm
right?
part of a wound circle
You are.
right now,
Okay.
and like self healing and healing your guide to healing the family.
Excellent.
And you know, so I'm new into all of this, but I'm really into it, and
Alright.
it all starts about loving yourself too. So
Indeed.
I'm definitely trying to get rid of like Europeanized appearance, and
Indeed.
you know, because all mentally taught to like hate yourself. Like,
That's
you
right.
know, why can't I just get up in the morning and go?
Right.
You know, why do I have to, you know, straighten my hair? And, you know, just not of no offense on anyone.
No,
Just
I'm with
saying,
you.
like,
I
it's just
understand.
those things are heavily put on black women to look a certain way in the images.
Right.
You know, and it's messed up. And
Mhm.
it starts with yourself and us black women taking back our beauty of standards.
Right.
Because I just feel like they're mimicking us and trying to turn us into white women who really want to look like us, and it's really sick.
You're right.
It's really sick.
You're right. You're
You
right.
know, and it's crazy when I talk to a sister and it's just like she has all these like self-hate for her things, and it's just like, who told you that? Like, who told you that how your head grows is messed up? Who told you that you have to look this way? Like, who put that in your head that
Right.
you aren't the standard of beauty?
Right. Well, it takes you and others to teach that. Because see, we can save the women, we can save the nation.
Yes.
Because the old doctrine was to teach an individual
Mhm.
is an individual. Teach a woman is a nation. You know what I'm saying? So this knowledge you have received today and access, you know, the video, teach it, verify it, check it out, and teach it.
That's why I try to
Speak
build
for
my
yourself.
stand, you know, and that's why I guess I get a lot of Arab attack. Because, you know, I let them know when they come here, this, you're not just getting stones, you're getting ancient African knowledge.
Right.
And how all this stuff corresponds with the melanin in your skin. So I'm like
That's right.
into the metaphysics. I took Dr. Phil Valentine's, me and my king, we took Metaphysics 1, just about getting your mind back. Because that's the first thing, like the black folks, like, you know, just with us, is that we don't have control of our mind. And we have all of these things outside, really European things coming at us, and we internalize, you know, victimize, like hurt ourselves. We're hurting ourselves because we have someone else thinking for us.
Do you know Phil Valentine's?
We talked to him, we took his class, reading his wife book, and Baba Haru's wife book. We met Baba Haru and his wife, Queen Afua.
So you know what's his brother's name? Her son?
Her son?
Yeah.
Dr.
Nova.
Phil Valentine's son?
No. Queen Afua.
Oh, no.
Supernova. Nova.
I heard of him, but I didn't know that was her son.
Well, I'll call him my son. My son.
Yeah.
But tell about the Phil Valentine's that I said peace to brother.
What's your name?
Nakim Bay.
Nakim Bay. Well, it's nice to meet you, Nakim Bay. I'm Villa White.
All
So,
right. We made it
yeah.
well.
And Baba and his wife, they made these jewels and stuff for us when we were out there.
I'm
So we're
aware.
really into this. We're hoping to meet you in Fudishi.
I'm aware who they are, definitely. Respectfully, I gave Phil Valentine's at the Brownstone House in Philadelphia when they had meeting of the minds, his first 5 symbol nationality card. Clark Edition.
Oh,
He's a great man. Nakim. Okay.
Bay. Okay.
He's my blood brother.
Okay.
My blood brother. He has grown. He's become very independent of the Morse community. I know he saw the negative, and he grew, and he's my brother.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we are waiting to take his second class, and
Yeah.
we're into this. You know, there's no other way.
Yeah.
So it was literally, it was meant for me to
Right.
get into this. And I feel like when you seek out the knowledge, it finds you. Because I wasn't looking for this today. I'm kind of all knowledge out, so today was kind of like my relax day.
Right.
And I'm like, let me just get a book and relax, and here I am.
Right. Thank you. Like I said,
It seeks you.
when you talk to Brother Phil Valentine, you tell him Nakim Bay said peace.
Okay, thank you, and I'll see you
Right.
soon. I guess at the next meeting.
You'll see them. I'm back in the U.S.
Okay.
in 2 days. I mean, New York State.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
I'm honored to have meet you.
It's a pleasure as well.
Have a good
Okay,
one.
you too, sister. All right, Mark, close this out. So I say thank you all. Any more questions before I close out? Y'all good? Y'all good? I'm good. Islam, boy.
It's,